We got our next WEP Alumni Spotlight, and we got Josh Williams on with us. And Josh, we'll kind of start these the way we do with everyone. How'd you get started with WEP, and kind of what are you doing now?
Okay, so getting started with WEP, that guy, the screen just went to just me. That guy that's above you, Daniel. So he helped me out after my freshman year. I needed a job and I wanted to figure out something else I could do. And Daniel was already doing, working with Warrior Productions because he was working in journalism and stuff like that. So, I just kind of asked him, could he kind of put me on and see what I could do? I had an interview, I want to say maybe 2 weeks after I asked him. So I sat with an interview with Andy and Michael, other WEP alumni. And it was a pretty good interview. They asked me, what was my question? How would I keep track of like a storyline that's going on throughout like a NFL football season? And I kind of, excuse my language, my way through the answer. But it was kind of cool. So I kind of talked about, at that time, I think Calvin Johnson was going on pace to like break the 2,000 receiving yard record. And I just kind of talked about how ESPN was kind of tracking his progress throughout the year and stuff like that. So I guess I did good enough. They gave me a call back and I got the job, and the rest is history.
Yeah, so it's easy for me to talk with it right now because obviously, for those who don't know, Josh was my roommate for like 6 to 8 years. It feels like a long time.
Yeah.
But
I'm sorry, Josh.
What was cool about it though is even before Josh was on with us full time at work with WEP, he was pushing me and help with the shows we were watching. Like we would watch a random basketball game and he helped be calling out shots. Josh, as you got on and started working shows, how did not only the way you watch games change, but just the way you appreciated it, just watching sports change?
Man, and as any of you guys will know, like, we cannot watch sports the same. Anybody that sits with us is like, can you please just like shut up and just like enjoy it? But the way that I've watched sports has changed is just, I'm able to now kind of dictate or understand like why a director makes a certain cut, why a camera operator makes a certain move, whether it be to a defender, an offensive player, your heroes, your dejection shots, stuff like that. So now when I watch not even just sports, but just anything from a cinematic aspect, I'm able to kind of understand like what was the thought process into why you're doing those things. And I think that's kind of helped me move forward in, other aspects of my life. There's kind of purpose in design as well as, purpose in whatever you're doing. So just long story short, just with sports, I think it's broadened the aspect. And for me, I think it makes it greater because now I'm able to understand like from a fuller scope, like how that enhances the viewers, understanding and their just kind of enhancing that atmosphere for them. So.
You mentioned a little bit kind of how doing stuff at WEP and understanding that has helped you outside of that in your job now. Kind of explain what you're doing now and maybe how some of those – well, because, I think it's interesting is you could take lessons from what you learned on a broadcast and apply that to what you're doing now and working as a team in that. So kind of explain what you're doing and maybe kind of how some of those lessons in broadcast carry over to what you're doing now.
Definitely. So what I'm doing now – so I work with a healthcare real estate development company. Long story short, we oversee the development, the design, and the construction of hospitals and medical office buildings. So I kind of like manage all of those things. So what I've learned from WEP, it's all team oriented, and especially in design, construction, and this field like this, it's as well, it's very team oriented. So we have our OAC meetings. So it's like the owner, the architect, and the contractor. So it's kind of, the same when it comes to WEP. You have your producer, your director, replay ops. You guys have your meetings during the week with play-by-play, color, all of that stuff, and just making sure everybody is coordinated. And when it comes to like creating like a great show, developing a great product, everybody has to be on the same page in order for that to happen. So designing, creating a product that is, sports production is the same as creating a product, just like a hospital. Everybody has to be on the same page. Everybody has to be doing the same job and or doing their job and making sure, you know, the product moves forward. So something that I told Daniel a couple weeks ago, you know, with my job, I have to be able to speak with, you know, executives from a hospital standpoint. So executives at Piedmont, and as well as being able to talk with architects, as well as being able to talk with contractors, as well as being able to talk with nurses. So in that sense, it's kind of like when you're directing, you have to be, there's certain, you know, terms and vernaculars that you have to, you know, speak. And, you know, certain words that I say that my TD would know, certain words that I say that my producer would know, my replay ops, my graphics, stuff like that. So just being able to communicate to each member of the team and getting the best out of everybody and just making sure the product is the very best product that you can create. So, yeah.
You know, you've mentioned the word team, and it keeps coming up in a few of these, especially in the spring season. You see each other so much, and so because you're doing game after game after game. And there's a lot of times I'm like, well, if I didn't have these friendships, I don't think I would still be here. So throughout your years, and even now, just how important was it to build those friendships and to have a team?
I think that's very important. You know, you'll go wherever your team goes, in a sense. So, you know, back when Michael was there, if you could tell when Michael would get mad, or you could just hear it over the intercom, over the headset when he would get mad. And, you know, if his morale would change, you know, maybe Daniel might be timid in pressing a button. Maybe I'm timid in a move that I do. So it's kind of like building those relationships and being comfortable with people and letting people to, you know, make mistakes when they need to, or help them to kind of move forward. I think that's very important. Just building those relationships with people and building up other people's confidence. If you help build somebody's confidence, I think that, you know, makes the team even better. Everybody can be better, from the grips to anybody running slow motion camera, anything like that. But I think building those relationships makes chemistry better. You're able to understand what certain moves people are going to make. You know, we had the same camera crew for a better part of 2 to 3 years. So we all knew how to bounce off of each other and knew what each other was doing without really even thinking about it. So I think building those relationships, building those bonds is a huge part in what we do, whether it be for Warrior Productions or what I'm doing today. So I think it's huge.
Especially relationships with cameras are so huge, especially when it comes to coaching and leading, right? I mean, I think of you as one of the camera guys who not only coached me as a director, but you were coaching camera guys on every show you were on, right? I mean, people were going to hear you throughout the show, right? Talk about kind of how it was not only being a coach for them, but you had to work your way up through the camera skill. I mean, you were stuck on camera one for a while and finally had to break that mode before you can do other cameras, you know? So talk a little bit about your grind through camera and how made you be a pretty good coach like you are.
I think for me, what I started to see is, after the fact, you have to master the fundamentals first before you can just go to something else. Even if you feel that you're ready, I think, you know, Michael was kind of giving me the Mr. Miyagi effect. I felt like I could do any camera, I could do any this and that. But I think what he was trying to get me to see when I was working camera one, yes, you know how to do your job, but are you able to understand what everybody else is doing? Are you able to understand if somebody's camera's going down, what's the problem? Is it their fiber? Is it this? Is it that? What is this camera operator supposed to be doing during this moment, during timeout, stuff like that. So I think he was just trying to prepare me to be who ultimately, you know, how I ended up being. But I think it all worked out from that aspect. And to coach, I think you have to be a great student in order to be a leader first, but sometimes you have to take a step back. I know with you and me, just like you said, we're roommates and best friends. So it was like having to take that step back and recognize you being my boss. I couldn't just be, you know, buddy. I couldn't be Josh and Daniel. Like, I had to respect you for who you were and not kind of go at you or say certain things, because people kind of followed me how I treated you. So I had to show you that respect because, you know, people would watch me. So if I didn't show you that respect, they wouldn't show you that respect. So I think it just all comes with that. So and even now with what I'm doing, it's the same thing. I have to be respectful of the position that others are in. I might be their boss per se, but they have more experience than I do. So I'm not going to sit here and say that just because I went to school for this, I know more than you. I still think there's things I can learn and things that others could teach me. So just from that aspect, I think in order to be a great leader, you have to be a great student. So.
Hell yeah. 100%.
He gives that thoughtful answer, and Dan goes, "Hell yeah!"
I wish I could put like the 100 emoji on it right there.
Hey, but also, you see what I got?
Here, might as well bring it up, Dan.
Here we go. So,
all right, so go ahead, give the story.
If y'all don't know the story, I am the greatest SEC cameraman ever. Thank you. But I don't know where to put this.
It's got to be in a frame somewhere.
Yeah, you saw it. Hold on, we're gonna figure this out.
Goodness gracious.
So I don't know if Parker ever heard this story, but what was this? 2016. So we had like a bunch of, I think we had 5 straight home games that year, and I was the Northwest handheld operator at that time. So I knew everybody in my section. I'd see them every week for like a month. And there was this little girl there. She actually made a sign for me. She asked me, I think like the LSU game, what my name was, blah, blah, blah. She was going to make a sign for me. So that next game, I think it was Alabama A&M, like our last home game. She made a sign for me. Thank you, Josh, for getting me on the Jumbotron all year. You're the best SEC cameraman ever, blah, blah, blah. But it was cool. For me, that's like, nobody expects like a cameraman to get a sign made for them in front of like 80,000 people. Like, you know, it could have been Carry-On Johnson. It could have been anybody, but she made a sign for me. So I think what we do at Warrior Productions, you know, is bigger than just pushing a button or shooting a camera, anything like that. You're creating memories for people for a lifetime. And I know with what's going on with COVID and stuff like that from this past year, that was hard, just trying to make those memories. But that's something that once this new year turns around and there's 100% full capacity, those memories, that's something people are going to remember forever, that first year back after COVID. So I think that's something we should take into account. You guys take into account. Just that's the job. The job isn't just putting a show on for TV or doing anything like that, but you're there to create memories for people. And I think that's the biggest part of it. That's something that I love the most about the job. Just being able to do that for people. So it's definitely pretty cool.
Yeah. We think through this and we all know this business is a grind, you know, and there's weeks, there's months, there's years sometimes that it's just thing after thing. And, you know, but we talked about this earlier with another group is, you know, it's those moments and being a part of those. At the end of the day, we're broadcasting sports, whether it's on, you know, the soccer board, online, or on, you know, the Jumbotron at Jordan Hare. And, you know, you think of those moments. I'll never forget 2019. That was my first Iron Bowl, you know, and, you know, that's one that I'll never forget no matter where I go. What are some of the moments that you remember? Yeah, obviously, the award you won is Best SEC Cameraman, but what are some of the other memories that stand out to you from your time at Warrior Productions?
That 2017 UGA game, the 2017 Iron Bowl, both of those were huge games. We brought the swag surf back. I don't care what anybody says. We brought the swag surf back. Thank you. That 2017 year when we beat Georgia, I remember Michael asking us over the headset, should we play the Soldier Boy? So if anybody knows anything about Georgia and Auburn, you know, what was that, 10 years before that, No Sean Marino in Georgia, they did the Soulja Boy against us and started dancing and whatnot. So everybody kind of knew about that. So when he asked us that, we were like, man, hell yeah. So
he say us. He was a Georgia fan those days. Don't let him fool you.
At the time, I've been converted. But yeah, so we played that, and then just to see how the stadium just goes insane. And just the fact that it's like we knew about something that nobody out of 100,000 people out there, like, you know, we set the tone for that and made something that people were gonna remember forever. So I think that was one of a big memorable moment for me. What else? Getting a document, the Eagle flight for any game. Oh, definitely having to be walking through, like doing the Tiger Walk for the Iron Bowl. Amazing. It's the easiest way to get to the stadium after lunch, but it's definitely something that nobody gets to do. Everybody doesn't get to do something like that. So to go through a Tiger Walk for an Iron Bowl, I think that was huge and it was awesome. So don't get me in trouble if I wasn't supposed to do that, but that's how we got to the stadium.
That was the easiest route.
Yeah, look, just walk straight through.
Did anyone stop you at the time?
All they did was all these little kids high five me. Some kid asked me for my autograph. I'm like, yeah, I'm who you think I am. I think, but and then all those kids calling you Mr. Jumbotron. I think that's pretty cool too.
That's wild.
Well, a memory I have with you, I think it was 2019, and we did the Super 7, the video board shows for them, yep. And things happen, people get sick, so we had to move some things around, and you ended up directing that game.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, and I was producing. I look over and I'm like, hey, at the time you were only going to do like a drive or two, but you did the whole game.
Yeah,
and I remember after the game, I was like, he had like 5 minutes heads up, and he did very well. Like, so that's one of the memories I remember.
Hey, can you say that again for Daniel real quick?
No, but one thing about it, I mean, clearly running camera and directing, they translate very well, right?
Oh yeah.
Talk about what it was. I mean, producing from your position is huge. It's something you coached when you were on camera, right? So, I mean, just talk a little bit about how that not only made you the better camera operator, but when you were able to hop in that chair, you took advantage of it and flourished.
Yeah, man. I think it definitely helps out a lot. Just being able to know, and it just goes back to being able to know like what you're supposed to do first. So mastering the fundamentals of your job, and then being able to dictate what everybody else does. It translated well because now I was able to see or kind of put myself in the atmosphere, put myself into the stadium because I've been there so much. So I know how the crowd is going to react to certain things in certain moments. I don't think you don't get that as much when you're in the stadium. I know for you, you're the same way. You like to turn the volume up when you're in the studio because you know, like, I need to feel the atmosphere, so I know where to cut, where I need to go. Does this person have a good react? Does Joe have a good react? Gauge, anything like that. But you just know from experience, you know what it's like to be in that bowl or to be on that court and what that feels like. And I think that'll help you out in being a better, honestly, it could be a better replay operator, a better director, producer, anything of that nature. So I think that just being in the field and being able to know what each camera assignment truly is because I've done it. I think that helped me a lot to be a director. Hopefully I can again this year.
I'm anxious to hear this one. So you get one game back in Auburn. What sport, what camera is it?
What sport, what camera? One game back. Can I pick any team? Because, like, if it's football this year, I don't know. It's one sport, one camera. Maybe camera 6 for an Iron Bowl. I feel like that's a good place to be. You're just right there at the bottom on the field with everything. But I think it kind of depends, honestly. I love how we used to run those old, like, outfield cams, like camera 7 for baseball. And you could just shag all day. I used to love doing that. Anything slow mo. Anything slow mo. How about that?
That's what I was
Anything,
expecting.
but it'd probably be camera 6 slow mo for an iron ball.
Jay, can you make that happen for him?
Well, I'm glad you brought this up because God, it was December of 2020. Josh goes on this big retirement tour. Dude, December 22nd, I'm done. I'm moving to Atlanta. I've got a full-time job. Takes the retirement photos with everybody. March, I get a text. I'm back.
No, you gotta tell him. I sent him literally the Michael Jordan memo that he just typed. I'm back. And I was like, yeah, I have to let you know the GOAT's back. No, yeah. So I thought it was funny.
Can't
We
stay away for
were
long.
glad to have you.
I miss you, dude.
It was so funny because I remember seeing the photos like outside the arena, like
everybody's
one last time, and then
Yeah.
mid-March, I'm back.
Yeah.
And we became the Washington Wizards. Oh wait, I'm kidding, Josh. I got respect for you, buddy.
I'm gonna have to put some work in if I'm Wizard Jordan. Oh my god. Sheesh. Hey, he dropped like 50 once.
He was still very good. Don't get me wrong.
No, man. Like, I think I just got to that point. Like, something's such a big part of your life for the better part of 6 years. And like you guys said, like spring semester, you're there pretty much every day. So I leave Auburn, then I come back home to Atlanta. I'm starting to work. And it just feels like, man, like I feel like I'm missing a big part of myself. It's like doing this for so long, it kind of becomes a part of your identity. So I couldn't get away from it. You fall in love with something and it's kind of hard for you to just let that thing go. And honestly, I still don't want to let it go. I think I still want to try to come back and film here when I can. If you guys can put me on with somebody at Georgia Tech, that might help. So I can go be here in Atlanta. But yeah, man, I think when something is just such a big part of who you are, I think you got to find a way to keep it going, to keep that fire. Yeah, and I can't let that thing go. So I've definitely found a new love for what I'm doing now, but I've learned not to just limit myself to one thing. I don't have to just be one thing. I can do multiple things. So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. I love it too much to just retire, I guess. So but yeah, don't worry, I'll be back.
TV sports production is a heck of a drug, my friend. Let me tell you.
What? And it's a good little break from just what I have to deal with on the day-to-day with stuff here. So it's good to kind of go back, reflect, come see some people. We're getting paid to watch sports, man. Like, you can't do anything better than that. So I'll definitely be back for football season. I got you. Now, some games I want to be a fan, but some games I'll definitely come with.
I think I might know a guy or two that can help you out there.
Hey, that's all that matters. Yeah, that's all that matters.
So obviously a part of this is to let someone who may be coming into Wargle Productions for the first time kind of know what to expect. So with that, if you have one piece of advice that you would say to someone brand new coming in here, what would that advice be?
Be a sponge. Just learn as much as you can. Everybody is willing to work with you at Wargle Productions. Everybody is friendly. Everybody is willing to help no matter what it is. Don't be afraid to fail. That's probably the biggest thing. Do not be afraid to fail. I think oftentimes failure kind of yields to success. I think you just have to be willing to take risk and not be afraid to take risk. And, if you do something wrong, fail confidently. That's the biggest thing I can say is just fail confidently, figure out what can I do better the next time and just do it better the next time. Take everything kind of with a grain of salt. If anybody's yelling at you, stuff like that, leave that in the show. It's not something that's personal. It's just something to, everybody wants the best out of everybody, especially with what we do. We're the best at what we do. So just take it with a grain of salt and just be a sponge, man. Continue to be a student. Learn as much as you can, learn as much as possible, and lift as you climb. The more you get to learn, try to help the next man up, and see if you can help them to be better and be who they want to be too. So
listen to this man.
Yeah.
He knows what he's talking about.
We gotta ask a questioner in this thing after that. Like how we like? Come on, man. Jake, you can follow up on that. I want to follow up on that.
Hey, look, I got a little preaching in me. My dad, I gotta dress different, so now I gotta talk different. But yeah, man, just be a sponge and just do as much as you can and try to be the best at whatever you want to do. I think trying to be the best at this craft, it's helping me to understand like how to be the best at what I'm doing now. I had to remind myself while I'm here. I'm still trying to learn the healthcare aspect. I know construction, I know architecture, but learning the healthcare aspect, it's all new to me. So I had to tell myself, well, I started with Warrior Productions. I didn't know anything about camera productions or sports production, anything like that, but I knew that I loved it and I was going to give my all for it. So, 6 years later, an Emmy Award, 2 sports top 10 plays, just little stuff here and there, but really it's just when you love something enough, you're gonna do whatever it takes to be the best at that. So take that with whatever you want to do, not just sports production, whether it be journalism, architecture, liberal arts, whatever, science, history, whatever. Just take this, be the best, run with it, and see how that can translate into other fields of life. So yeah.
Now y'all see why I'm so great. I had this man pushing me for 6 years, man.
Kobe and Shaq, baby. I'm Kobe.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
sir. No, you're my brother, man. Thanks for pushing me.
Sir.
Ain't no way I'm here without you.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate you joining us, man. I'll tell you what. You come back. You came out of retirement. We'll get that second set of 3 titles, okay? How about that?
Oh, yeah. Got to. With the Wizards this time.
Yeah. Hey, there was the Wizards before. I mean, it would have been like 5 or 6 titles after that. Yeah. I don't know, No, I'm kidding. No, but we seriously appreciate you, man. It's a lot of fun catching up with you, and I know we're all looking forward to having you back when that time comes to have you on one of our shows again. So thank you, man.
Definitely. No problem, guys. Appreciate you.
Yep. War Eagle.
Sure.
War Eagle.